Hey, you guys. Welcome to Talk About It Thursdays. I am your host, Karen Bailey. Let me know when you're on. I would love to say hello to you guys. Happy Thursday, everyone. I pray everybody's having an amazing week so far. We are one day closer to the weekend, and it's always exciting when it gets to the weekend because that's most of our time that we get to relax and enjoy our family and get things done that we normally can't get done during the week. So jump on when you can. I'm going to go ahead and get started. In the interest of time, I just want to wish everybody a happy and prosperous new year. And the very fact that we made it into 2024, it means something, you guys. And that's why I came up with this topic. This topic was on my mind last week about wanting more in 2024. Hey, Wendy, life is about progression. And there's nothing that should stop us from being better than that woman or that man that we were last year. But we've got to want more for ourselves. Nothing is just going to fall into our laps. We have got to put forth the work, put forth the effort. So we want more in 2024, you guys. And like I said, the very fact that we all made it, the fact that we're able to open our eyes in a whole new year means God's got something more for us. God's got something else for us to do. He's got blessings for us that we haven't received yet. He's got something else for us to learn. So there's always a reason that God keeps us here. So we want to believe God that He's going to do more and more in our lives, that we're not here just wasting space. God has a purpose for all of us. Hey, Christia. Hey, Rashida. I'm going to turn this phone off real quick. That way it won't be buzzing. But I want to applaud all you people that constantly show up. You deserve some applause for wanting to do better, wanting to be better. And so you need to clap for yourself sometimes. A lot of times people don't recognize your change. So learn to clap for yourself. So I just want to applaud you guys, because the reason you're on here is because you want to be better. And that's the whole start. You got to want to be better in order to be better. So you guys, let's talk about what it's time to want more of in 2024. It's time to want more of God's abundance in 2024. So it's time to want more. It's time to expect more, almost demand more. It's time for us to pray more, you guys. And it's time for us to believe more. And so let's talk about how it's time for us to want more. Most of the time when I say something like that, people think, okay, I'm talking about money. Money is wonderful. We all could use more of that, but money is not everything. And I know people say, well, if you had that money, you probably wouldn't be saying that. Yeah, I probably would, because I interact with people all the time that actually have money and they're still not happy. People that have everything they want, but they're still not happy. So what I'm talking about wanting more of is just more quality of life, you guys, versus the material things. Sometimes you can work yourself to death trying to get those material things, and then you have no quality of life, no joy in your life. All you are is surrounded by a bunch of stuff that you've accumulated. And that's not what God wanted for us. He doesn't want us to be surrounded with stuff that we just have to look at and be miserable and be by ourselves. He wants you to have more quality of life. And that's something that you have to recognize what's important in your life. That's your kids, that's your family, that's that significant other that's there for you. Maximize what God has given you and make sure that you're paying attention to those things in life that matter the most, so that you'll have more quality of life. And remember, where you are today is not where you're supposed to stay forever, you guys. Like I said in the beginning, life is about progression. It's fine when you get to a certain point and you're good right there, but don't let that limit you. There's always something more inside of you. So keep moving. Keep moving. Number 3, it's time to want more happiness, time to want more joy. A lot of times, and I was looking at a post, one of the ladies posted about how people are quick to feed on, that negative stuff and are not real receptive to the word. You have to be careful what you feed your spirit. Because if you're feeding your spirit junk food, which is the world, which is mess, which is drama, which is reality TV, which is social media, when you feed yourself a bunch of junk, you're not going to be happy. Simply because you're burdened down. You internalize all that junk food. It's just like eating junk food. Me and Rashida and Jennifer, we're on this journey because we want more in 2024. So I try not to talk to y'all about something I'm not doing for myself. You have to wake up and say, you know what, I want something different this year. But you're the one that's going to have to make the move. So understand that what you're feeding yourself, if you're feeding yourself a bunch of junk, if you're allowing a lot of drama, distractions, turmoil in your life, how can you be happy? How can you have joy? There's no room for that. So understand, we have got to learn how to lighten our load. We've got to learn how to ignore some things. We've got to learn how to get out of situations, that bring us pain, situations that keep us sad, keep us hurting all the time, because it's time to want more happiness and want more joy. And sometimes that requires cutting people off, you guys. I know it's hard and we love how we love, but if somebody's bringing you pain, if somebody can sap all the energy out of you, if somebody can take you from feeling like you're up here and bringing you down here, it's time to cut some ties, you guys, and put some distance between those people, because you got to want more joy and more happiness in your life, and you got to get rid of some clutter. I talked about on decluttering and making room. We've got to make room for joy. We got to make room for happiness, but we got to get rid of some stuff in our lives. Those past things that we've been holding on to because we don't ever want to forget what they did to us. 2024, you guys, let's let that stuff go. Let it go so you can make room in your heart and in your spirit for happiness and for joy. It's waiting on you. It just has nowhere to reside. Because when you have all that other stuff going on, you're feeding all that negativity, you're feeding all that pain, there's no room for happiness and joy in your life. So it's time to want more of that, but you've got to make the sacrifice of letting go of some things that you've been holding on to for dear life because you don't want to forget what somebody did to you. Let those people go so you can be happy. Let those people go so you can get your joy back. Hey, Deborah, get your joy back. It's up to you. And I remember, I'll share a personal thing with you guys, because I like to be transparent with y'all. When I was dating this guy that I ended up marrying, he was a deacon in the church. And I remember, I believe we had gotten engaged at that time. And his ex and then his other ex were giving me all kinds of trouble and just causing all kinds of turmoil in my life. And it took another sister to come to me, because I was crying all the time, because I was angry, ready to fight all the time. It was just overwhelming, especially when you're the kind of person that doesn't bother anybody else, when you're the kind of person that tries to be nice to everybody else, and then people are attacking you that don't even know you. And that sister came to me. She said, you know what? She said, I see what's going on with you. You let those people steal your joy. Nothing is worth stealing your joy. And if I had listened to wisdom back then, I wouldn't have moved in the direction that I moved. I would not have married that person. But I did receive that I was allowing them to steal from me. I was allowing them to make me feel less than, to take every little bit of joy, out of my life. So you have control over that. Don't allow people to have that kind of effect on you. Nobody should be able to affect your happiness and your joy. So we've got to make time for that, because it's time to want more happiness and want more joy. People are leaving here, y'all. A lot of people did not even make it into 2024, and I'm not talking about the elderly. I'm talking about people our ages. I'm looking at y'all on here. I'm talking about people our ages did not make it. So let's take advantage of the time that we have. And let's try to be happy, and let's find some joy in whatever you're doing. Number 4, it's time to want more money. And when I say that not to try to be rich. I'm trying to say have more money by managing your own money. I'm talking about having more money by stop getting yourself into debt. That's what I mean by having more money, not reaching for millions and all of that. That's fine if that's what you want to do. But God will bless you. And here I am again. I'm going to tell y'all something transparent about me. I worked a second job for 12 years. And even when I was married, I had to get a second job, and that's a whole nother story. But I had a son that was in college at UNT in Denton, and I promised myself that if my baby made it to college, I was going to make a way out of no way to make sure he had what he needed. He went on a scholarship. He had to take out some student loans, but I was the one that was paying for his dorm fees and his food, that type of stuff, books, that type of stuff. And so I had to take a second job. And even after he got out of college, even when I went through my divorce, I became dependent on that second job, more so than I depended on God. And for a while, God let me work myself to death, y'all. I was working, coming and going, working 7 days a week. And then finally the light bulb came on. That if you would just manage the money that you have, you could quit this second job. And it took me a little while to get it together. It took me a while to pay some things off. It took me cutting up credit cards, cutting up stuff. Stop buying stuff you can't afford. Stop putting stuff, on cards if you can't afford to pay cash for it. You don't need it. I went through that, y'all. I went through that, breaking my own will from wanting stuff that I didn't need to just managing my money and taking care of my bare necessities. And before you knew it, I had all them bills paid off, credit cards, the debt I was left with by my ex, I paid all of that off. And I was able to quit that job. And I have more money now than I did when I was working 2 jobs, y'all. It's all about how you manage, what kind of steward you are, and what you put an importance on. While everybody was buying cars and buying designer, this, that, and the other, I was not. I was focusing on getting out of debt, because to me that was more important than something that I could hang in a closet or something that I can flash in front of somebody else. I needed to have some peace within myself and realize I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be able to keep the house that I live in. I'm going to be able to, if I need to do something, I don't have to rob Peter to pay Paul. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know what I'm talking about, how you have to break off a little bit of this and you have to call this company and say, can I pay you this? And can I work out some kind of payment plan? We've been through that, but God delivered me from that. And now I have a balance when it comes to my finances. I'm not always reaching for stuff, just because I see stuff. If I don't have a purpose for it, if I don't see how it benefits me and I can use it for something other than what it's for, most of the time I leave it where it's at. So God had to break my will and show me that He is more than enough, that He was going to be the provider that I needed. And I haven't looked back since, you guys. So it's time for us to want more money in the sense of managing what God has given us and coming out of debt and not making more debt. Number 6, just what I said. It's time for us to want more balance in our life. We control that more than we think. And I had to learn that everybody can't be around me. Some people are unstable. Some people like drama. Some people are attention seekers. Some people make bad decisions. And you have to ask God to show you what's in people. Even the people that you love, even the people that you think you can't do without. Ask God to show you what's in them, and you'll get a balance. God will show you how to back off of people. God will show you how to distance yourself. God will show you how to spend a minimal amount of time with people, without allowing them to infect you and allowing them to throw you off when you're trying to be focused and get stuff done. A lot of times you got to clear the way. You got to clear the way if you want balance in your life. Because a lot of times we got too many personalities around us, too many temperaments around us. We need to make a decision that we want balance in our life. And that starts with us. We got to get balanced ourselves. And then you'll start recognizing who you don't need to be around, who doesn't need to be coming to your house all the time, who you don't need to be spending a lot of time with, who you don't need to be going out with so much. Ask God for balance in your life. It's time to have more balance. I don't know about y'all, but, I went through a time where I was on an emotional roller coaster. Sometimes it felt like I didn't know if I was coming or going. It's because I didn't have any balance. You got to have God as your center. When God is your center, He levels everything else out. He lets you see things and people you never saw before. But you have to spend that time with God so you can get balance, so that you can be level. And that way, when things come up in your life, situations change, you won't be shaken. Because you have that foundation, and the foundation is Jesus. Number 7, it's time to want more fulfillment in your life. A lot of times we do stuff just because other people expect us to do it, or we do stuff because it's popular, or we do stuff to get attention. It's time to have more fulfillment in your life. If you are not being a blessing and what you're doing is not blessing you as well, why are you doing it? Make sure your heart is right about what you're doing. Make sure that you're doing things for the right reason so you can get some fulfillment out of it. Because when you are fulfilled in doing something, it's not even hard anymore. When God first started me doing this podcast, I don't know how many years we're on now, but I was so nervous in the beginning. I was scared. I was like, oh my Lord, what if I don't say the right things? What if I don't do the right thing? God says, find your purpose in it. Why are you trying to do that? And that was the first thing I had to figure out. Okay, what's the purpose of you going on here every Thursday and doing a podcast? Once I got my purpose right and my purpose lined up with God's word, everything else came. The fulfillment came, and it's not that it's easy to do this, but I find fulfillment in it. Because not only do I get to bless you guys, I get to bless myself. Because whatever I pour out to you, God is filling me up with something else. So I get fulfilled by that because I get to share with you guys what God puts inside of me. And I get to allow that to flow. And then you get to flow it to other people. So there's no telling how many people we all touch in our lives just from me being obedient. So I get fulfillment out of that. I get joy out of that. Number 8, it's time to want more confidence. It's time for us to stop being so hard on ourselves. It's time for us to stop comparing ourselves with everybody else. Oh, I don't look like her. I'm not as pretty as her. I'm not as skinny as her. I don't have her shape. I don't have her eyes. I don't have her hair. So what? It's time for you to enhance whatever God has given you. Accentuate what God gave you to be you. You're not supposed to look like anybody else. You're not supposed to be shaped like anybody else. We've got to stop looking over at other people and realize all of us are beautiful. We all have things about us that are unique that we need to accentuate so that people can see that we're all bold. We're all fierce. Deborah, one thing I love about you, me and Deborah have known each other a long time. And I watched Deborah blossom over the years. And I love her confidence. And I love to see her and her husband. They both have that confidence like, we're the lemons. I love that simply because y'all don't know where she came from. A lot of times we don't realize how hard that is to get to that point. But once you get there, own that and realize how amazing you are. See, a light bulb came on for them and they realized, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. There is nobody like me, nobody like my husband. So you have to own that, and let's get more confidence this year and stop trying to look like everybody else. Buy clothes that look good on you. Quit trying to dress like somebody else. Get hair that looks good on you. Do lashes that look good on you. Makeup that looks good on you. Don't try to compete with anybody else, because God didn't mean for us to do that. He means for us to be beautiful and be individual. So let's want more confidence this year. And I understand that that's not something you wake up with. Trust me, I know. I don't care what Beyonce say, I wake up like this. I don't wake up with that confidence all the time. I have to talk to myself and remind myself who God says I am. So that's what you got to do. I don't care what nobody else says about you. You got to remind yourself of what God says about you, that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are a jewel in His crown. So understand that. We need to want more confidence. And it's going to require us to hold our head up high. It's going to require us to carry ourselves in a certain way that says, you know what, I'm important. Say what you want to say, but no, you're not going to dismiss me. I'm important. So I want us to have more confidence. Hey, Shakita, I want us to have more confidence in 2024 and love yourself. I mean, whatever looks good on you, rock it. Rock it like it was made for you. Enjoy who you are. Somebody's wishing they were you. So enjoy the body that God gave you, the complexion, the hair, whatever. Enjoy that and have more confidence this year. Another thing that it's time for us to want more is peace. A lot of times, especially in our families, there's all this dysfunction. There's all this dysfunction that's gone on for generations and generations. Trust me, I know I have some in mind. But somebody's got to be the peacemaker. And I stepped up and got really bold because my mother and father, who've been divorced forever, every time we got together at family functions, they want to bicker and bring up who did who wrong, blah, 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 blah. And it was one Christmas, y'all. And y'all know I'm always telling my business. But one Christmas, we were at my sister's house, and I was like, doggone it, I'm sick of this. Because I had to hear that as little children. We went with Daddy, we had to hear him talking about Mama. When we was Mama, she was talking bad about Daddy. We got sick of that. So here I am again in my 40s, and my parents are still doing that. Now my children are in the house listening to this stuff, and I just stood up from the table, and I just said, enough. Both of you were wrong. That's been over 30-some, 40-some years ago. Let it go. When I say my mother was mad at me for a while, but I didn't care. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do to be the peacemaker. And do you know they made peace and they're like the best of friends now? I said nobody could do that but God, but He needed somebody to use. He needed a vessel that wasn't afraid. And y'all know how it is when you stand up and everybody else in the family is standing around looking at you. Oh, I was the black sheep. Oh, I was talked about. But you know what? It was worth it, because it's time out for all of that bickering and fighting. It's time out for all those generational curses and all the grudges being held down for generation to generation. People are dying with grudges. What the heck is that about? You have limited your life. You have stunted your growth by refusing to let go of something that happened in the past. So it's time for us to want more peace, you guys. And somebody's got to stand up in the family. When everybody's acting a fool, somebody's got to be the one that everybody's going to talk about later. So what? You have got to be the peacemaker. You have got to be the one to say this is foolishness and this is enough. Number 10, it's time to want more stability. Like I was saying before, we have to make up our mind about things, you guys. We got to stop being wishy-washy. We got to stop, being the kind of people that are people pleasers and trying to make everybody happy and we're secretly miserable. Have some stability. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. Draw the line and say, you know what? I'm not crossing this line, so I don't care what you say or how you try to talk me into doing that. I'm not doing that because that's not who I am. Have some stability. Have some standard about yourself in 2024. It's time for us to want more. 11, ways to reset. We have got to figure out how to reset, how to de-stress, because women are dying left and right from strokes and heart attacks because there's so much pressure on us, to be so many people, to so many different people. You got to wear all these hats. Your kids are wanting something, your family's wanting something, the job is wanting something, the church is wanting something. You get pulled in so many different directions, as a woman. And you feel like you got to be able to do it all or you're a failure. We have to find better ways in 2024, you guys, of de-stressing and just getting away and getting that time to ourselves and taking care of our mind and taking care of our bodies, you guys. It's time to want more purpose in your life. It's one thing to live to a ripe old age, but what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? It's time for us to start thinking about those things. What do I want people to remember me for? What do I want my children to tell their children's children, after I'm gone? That was your grandmother so-and-so, she was the matriarch. She was the one that did this. She was a great woman. That's the legacy I want to leave. I want to leave something to where children I've never seen and may never see in my family, they know about me. They hear stories about me. And it excites them and it makes them proud to be part of my lineage. So let's live on purpose, you guys. Put some purpose in your life so that, you are the one that makes a difference. You've got a choice. This world is crazy. It's out of control. But you can make a difference in your home. You can make a difference in your environment. You can make a difference, in the school where your children go. It's so many places where you can make this world a better place. We can't control what this crazy world is doing out here, all the chaos, the wars, the drugs, the violence. We can't control all of that. But you can control what you affect in your own life. Nobody is too small. There's always somebody that needs something good, somebody that needs something positive, and you can be that person. All you got to do is be the light. Live your life on purpose. Make a point of leaving a legacy behind. And then we must all acknowledge where we missed the mark in life. And you have to acknowledge that we are where we are, whatever our situation is, because of a decision that we made, because of a choice that we made. A lot of times we like to blame other people if we're not happy with where we are, or we made a decision and we're not happy with it. It's time in 2024 to start owning stuff. Stop blaming other people. Own your decisions. And if you don't like it, where you're at right now, it's time for you to make a plan. Formulate a plan so that you can do better and so that you can be better. Stop blaming other people. We're adults. It's nobody's fault if you're in a situation that you're not happy with. If you're not happy, let that be your motivation to do something better to get yourself out of that decision. But in 2024, let's stop pointing fingers. Let's stop acting like somebody put you there. You're an adult. We all make decisions and we have to live with the consequences. But in 2024, let's own it and say, you know what, I'm here because I got myself here. I'm here because I made that decision 10 years ago and people told me not to do that and I wouldn't listen. Own that so you can grow and so you can humble yourself and so God can help you get to a better place. So the next thing that it's time to want more of, it's time to expect more out of life. And it's also time to demand some things in life, you guys. The one thing that we all need to demand, and it's only because you love yourself, demand that people respect you. Don't let people talk to you and deal with you any kind of way. But it starts with you having self-respect. You can't be out here acting like a hood rat, and then when people treat you that way, then you ready to fight. You can't be out here talking crazy, and then when society labels you, then you're mad. Have some self-respect in 2024, and then demand that people respect you as well. Okay? So we have to change how we do things if we want people to treat us better. Number 2, expect more from yourself. There's so much inside of you that you don't even realize that you have. Hold yourself accountable. Like I said before, stop making excuses. If you decide you want to do something, hold yourself accountable. Make a promise to yourself. Get some people incorporated in it to try to help you stay on track. But you need to be accountable and realize, this is not going to happen until I get my stuff together. I can't blame nobody if I fail because I know what it takes to make it happen, and I need to get myself together so that everything that I'm trying to do actually comes to pass. But you've got to have confidence in yourself, like I said before, and you got to expect to succeed, and you got to know you can succeed. We all got bad habits. We all get lazy sometimes. We all procrastinate sometimes. But talk to yourself about that and say, you know what, we're not doing this anymore. I'm setting a schedule. When I say we're going to finish this in 6 months, we're going to finish it. And you make a promise to yourself. Okay? And then remember, when it comes to dealing with people, you guys, when I talk about having respect and demanding respect, don't keep telling people the same stuff. If you told somebody that they're doing something wrong and they keep doing it to you, stop repeating yourself. Because that person does not respect you if you have to keep telling them the same stuff over and over again. Learn to let people go. Because a lot of times, people don't see you for who you really are. And if people can't see your value, why are you still around them? Why are you still tolerating their bad behavior? Why are you allowing them to treat you as less than? We have to expect more of ourselves, and we also have to demand more of other people. Don't let people play with you. Don't let people string you along, ladies. If something don't feel right, get your answers, and if it's not the answer that you wanted to hear, cut that thing off. Quit letting these men string you along for years and years and years. I've had several guys tell me men know pretty quick if you are the woman that they want to spend their lives with. It don't take 2, 3, 4, 5 years of them stringing you along, and dating you for them to decide if you are the one for them. We have to learn to respect ourselves enough, and we have to expect that, you know what? I'm not going to allow you to keep using up my youth and taking my time away from me if you don't have good intentions for me. That comes from loving yourself. Sometimes you have to say goodbye to people that don't cherish you and don't value you. And then always remember, you guys, when you're expecting more of yourself, remember how hard you work to get to where you are. A lot of us have come from some rough stuff. And when you've grown and you put some of that bad behavior behind you, that attitude behind you, and you're walking in a way that everybody's like, man, I remember how she used to be. She is so chill now. She's so focused. She's doing so good now. Remember that. And don't allow anybody to take you back back to that level that you worked so hard to get out of. Expect more of yourself. You don't have to fall for the trap. Know your triggers. Don't fall for the okie doke. Don't respond to everybody's test. Sometimes people are just trying to get you to go back to being that person you used to be so they can tell everybody, see, I told you she was faking. She hadn't changed. No. Expect more of yourself and respect yourself more, and learn that everything does not need a response. And then it's time to expect more open doors in our lives. You got to expect things to happen for you, opportunities to come for you. If you're always sitting around talking about, well, nothing good ever happens to me and I don't never get to do this, what are you doing to make it happen? If you expect things to happen, you also have to make things happen. You got to get out there. You got to mix. You got to mingle. You got to look for those opportunities and those doors so that you can walk through them. Number 4, we need to expect to be able to love and to be loved properly. What you tolerate is what you're going to have to deal with. You accept that behavior from people, that's what you're going to have to deal with. Expect that you can love the right way and demand that people love you right. Don't let people play with you and hurt you over and over again. And soon as one thing healed and you get in a bad relationship and they break open another wound. I went through that, y'all, where I didn't take the time to learn how to love myself. And I just wanted somebody to love me. I felt like I had to be in a relationship. And it took me being broken over and over again for me to realize, okay, this ain't working. Something about me is attracting this type of person. Something about me is saying that it's okay for them to treat me like this. And God, I need to figure out what that is. And the only way I can figure out what that is to be by myself. And when God got me by myself, He showed me everything in me that was allowing those type of people to come into my life. And I can honestly say God has healed me from that attraction to those wrong kinds of people. And I'm very thankful for that. Number 5, we need to expect to be more mature every year. We should expect to do things better than we used to. That's all part of getting older. That's all part of having experience. We should expect to be doing better than what we were last year. Don't get satisfied with where you were last year. You did good last year, but okay, it's time to step it up a level. We're in 2024. What you going to do now so that you can get a little bit further ahead? And you should be maturing and making better decisions. Number 6, we need to expect that God has something better in store for us. If we had to leave some relationships behind in 2023, don't feel too sad about that, because if God put it on your heart to let them people go, then that means He's got something better for you. That means those people were a hindrance to you in some kind of way. So you need to expect and know that God has something better for you, and you need to act like it. That's why it's so important that you get that foundation, so that no matter who walks in and out of your life, no matter who lets you down, no matter who gives up on you, you still love yourself. That's that foundation in God, that Holy Spirit. He will keep you. He'll keep you solid when everybody else around you is flaking. Because once you know that God's got you, once you realize who you are in God, you just realize, okay, it was just their time. Their time was up. It's all good. I didn't do nothing to them. Hey, good riddance. Hey, I wish you the best. God bless you. You don't let that affect you like it used to when you realize who you are and that God has made you a force all by yourself. It's wonderful to have people in your life, but when you get that foundation with God, you know that if nobody is for you, you and God got this. And that's what's important to know. That's why it's good to have that foundation, because there's going to be times when the people that you love the most, or the people that you trusted, or the people that you thought never would do this, never would say this about you, never would let you down. It's going to happen. That's just the reality of life. People are going to flake on you. People are going to lie. People are not going to do what they say they're going to do. You got to be good with that. That's why you can't put your confidence in man. You have got to put your confidence in God, because he's always going to be there. Number 7, remember that God will keep his word. Just like I said, people, they are emotional. People are moody. People go to and fro with the wind, but understand that God is the promise keeper, and you hold on to that's where your strength is going to come from, knowing that God will not forsake you. He will never leave you. Even when it looks like everybody else has, you have an ally. You have somebody fighting for you. You have somebody looking out for you. So you hold on to that. And then the last thing we need to expect more of in 2024, expect to get to know yourself a little bit better. Every year you ought to learn some new things about yourself. I as I'm getting older, I'm learning what I don't like, what gets up under my skin, and I now understand why some of those things bother me. And I'm grateful for that, because it's not that I'm just picky, it's not that I'm moody, there's a valid reason why I don't tolerate certain things. It's because I know what it leads to. And see, that comes from maturity. God will show you cause and effect as you get older, and that's why a lot of older people, they don't tolerate no mess, because they know what it leads to. They've been around long enough to know what that foolishness is going to end up being, and they don't want no part of it. Now, it's time that we need to pray for more in 2024, you guys. Number 1, we need to pray for more love. Pray for self-love, and pray for the love that we need to share with one another. Pray for loving relationships. Pray for that in 2024. Number 2, pray for understanding. Pray that we learn how to listen more instead of trying to do all the talking, instead of trying to be the one to provide all the answers. Sometimes you don't know what you're talking about. Sometimes all people want you to do is listen. But you've got to be able to discern when it's time to speak and when it's time to be quiet. Sometimes people just need you to sit there so they can get something off their chest. They don't need your opinion on everything. So we need to pray more about that in 2024, because sometimes we can make people shut down and not open up and reveal what they need so badly to reveal, because of stuff that we're saying, because we're really not listening, because we're so quick to want to show everybody just how smart we are, just how wise we are. So it's time to pray for more understanding. We need to understand people that are different from us, people that are homeless, people that have been incarcerated, people that have been on drugs. We need to get some kind of understanding so that we don't judge. The Bible talks about not judging lest you be judged. And it's hard not to judge sometimes, y'all, because you don't understand how people got to the place where they got to. But everybody didn't start there. And you got to understand, it is by the grace of God that we are not where they are. And when you get that mindset of understanding, just one wrong turn and that could have been me. Just one time that I lost my temper, that could have been me. It's a lot of things that God protected us from, to the point where we're not having to walk in those people's shoes. But we need to pray for more understanding. And number 3, more compassion. Even if we don't understand how they got there, we don't understand what they're going through, everybody can show love. Everybody can show sympathy. Everybody can say, I'm sorry that happened to you. Everybody can say, what can I do for you? What do you need me to do? How can I help you? We can all do that. Number 4, it's time to pray for improved and effective communication. A lot of people are in relationships and marriages and they're miserable. And 99% of it is they have horrible communication skills. I can think back on my communication skills back in the day. They were terrible But you know what? I didn't have a role model. And a lot of people don't have a role model, and they don't teach you in school how to effectively communicate and get along and live with another person. I said that's the class they need to teach people, is how to live together, how to communicate your feelings, how to communicate a disagreement. You know, those are the life skills classes I wish they would teach in high school or even middle school, you know, of how to show respect. Even when you're mad at somebody, you don't start calling them out of their name. The communication is over. It's time to fight now. So it's a lot of things we need to pray about simply because they weren't modeled in front of us. So we're at a disadvantage. And even me now at 55, I'm thinking, you know what? God, please help me when I do get in a relationship to be able to communicate in an effective way, in a positive way. Because I don't want to go from single to being in a relationship, single having peace, and then get in a relationship and it's nothing but drama and chaos. I don't want that for my life. But it's going to require me praying more about how I need to learn how to communicate. And I'm going to be praying that whoever God sends me, that he's working on their communication skills. Because I'm one of those people, I don't like raised voices. I don't like people yelling at me, and you sure not going to call me out my name. So I know that it's time to pray for that, because I'm not the only one. But we all need to do better and need to find ways to not tear one another down. You know, one thing about it, they used to say this thing, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt you. That is the biggest lie ever. You know, I've been in fights. I've been hurt before physically, but it seems like the mental pain, the words that were said, you know, and how they were said, the disrespect, those things seem like they last long after the bruises heal, you know, long after the scars are gone. You know, you don't forget what somebody said to you. And that's why I encourage you guys, when it comes to your children, I still remember ugly things that were said to me as a child. And I've tried to move past that. But every once in a while, those things pop back up, because you never truly forget them. You just try to live past them. So you need to be careful of how you're talking to your kids. I don't care if you are mad at them. I don't care if they are acting like their daddy, they look like their daddy. It's certain things you don't say to your children, because you really do break their spirit. And then you end up raising a broken individual. I was raised up as a broken individual all the way through my teenage years, my young adult years, all the way up in my 40s. I was broken as a child, and none of that stuff got repaired. So it just went on, and the crack just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, because there was no healing taking place. And a lot of the pain I felt as a child was from people that were supposed to love me, from people within my own household that was supposed to be safe. You know, that's where a lot of my pain came from. And then once I got grown and got out of the house, then there came that outside pain from other people, you know. So you have to understand your words have power, more so than you know. And if you say something wrong to somebody, apologize. It won't take the pain away of what you said, but they will remember that you apologized. And you got to mean it when you say it, because one thing about it, people can see through you. You ain't fooling nobody. And depending on how bad you've hurt them with your words, it may take more than one apology. It may take a lot of apologies and renewed behavior and everything. You need to do what you need to do to make that thing right. But let's pray, because it's time to pray for more effective communication, more positive communication, so we can stop killing one another with our mouths. And we need to start building each other up. Number 5, it's time to pray for more truth and honesty in what we hear, what we see, what we say out of our mouths. Some of us just lie, and some of us make up stuff, and some of us are quick to make excuses. Let's stop doing that in 2024. Let's just be honest with people. Let the chips fall where they may. If they leave you, fine. If they don't want to be friends with you no more, fine. Cut out the riffraff. And let's be more honest this year. Because you know what? I would rather you tell me the truth to my face than I find out it's a lie and wasted years and years of dealing with you. Let's give people an out. If people don't want to deal with you, tell the truth and let them see who you really are. That way you can quit wasting everybody's time. That way the right people can come in their life and the right people can come in your life. Number 6, the next thing we need to pray for more of, like I said before, is peace. Not just peace within your own surroundings. You need to pray for peace around this world. Things are out of control. It's crazy out here. But I believe a lot of it is because we're all not praying in one accord for God to come in and God to heal the land and God to change people's hearts. We've got to do more of that in 2024 and pray collectively as believers that God do something with all the chaos, because it affects all of us. Sometimes you're scared to go out of the house at night. It's because we're not praying for this world. So we need to pray for more peace in 2024. And then the next thing we need to pray for more of, pray for more fear of God. And respect for God. Seems like people don't fear God. Hey, Sam, people don't seem to fear God anymore. They do what they want to do. They're not worried about any consequences of it. We need to pray for more fear and reverence for God, because that'll affect a lot of things that people do. Because a lot of it, even in the churches, there's so much going on. And it's just like, even in the church, even in this place that's supposed to be sacred, even in this place where we go to worship, yes, things are happening there. So we need to pray that people have more fear of God to the point where there are certain things they just won't do. Okay? And same thing for us. We need to remember to reverence God and remember, that God expects more out of us. He doesn't expect you to be perfect, but He expects you to try your best. It's time for us to pray for more healing, mental, physical, and spiritual. We all have things with our health that we need to be praying for healing for. Sometimes the healing is, God, heal me from my bad habits. Hey, Kinsley, heal me from laziness. Heal me from eating the wrong stuff. Heal me from drinking the wrong stuff. Heal me from these bad behaviors that I'm doing. Sometimes the healing is all about changing us. Sometimes you don't need God to reach down and touch you and take something from your body. Sometimes you are the problem. You are the virus. When you're dealing with your weight and all of that, sometimes you're the virus. All you got to do is ask God to help you heal from thinking that you need to do this, thinking that you need to eat that, thinking that you need to have this. A lot of it is all in the mind. And as we all know, we hear it all the time on the news, mental health issues are on the rise. We need to pray, you guys, because that affects all of us. People out here that are off their medication, people out here that are feeling desperate, they're hurting innocent people. So it is our duty. It benefits all of us that we start praying for God to heal. Number 9, we need to pray for more answers and directions from God. Before we make decisions. A lot of times we make a decision, make the wrong decision, or it doesn't work out the way we thought it was going to work out. Then we run to God. We need to start praying to God before we make the decision and spend some time with God to make sure that we're on the right track. Make sure that we're doing something that's going to make our lives better and not make it worse. So let's start praying for answers and direction from God before we get into stuff. And then it's time to pray for more justice to be done in this world. You know, we all get angry when we see injustice, when we see people get away with doing wrong, when we see people hurting people for no reason. We need to pray about those things, that God touch people's heart and give them his heart so that they won't do some of the things that they're doing, and that our judicial system is fair, that it be fair for all races, not just one race, fair for all classes, not just one class. We've got to pray for those things, you guys. Number 11, we need to pray for more zeal and more excitement in our lives. You know, some of us go through life, we're not excited about anything. You know, we don't look forward to anything. That's a problem. There's a burden. There's something holding you. So you need to pray about that thing. Why don't I have excitement anymore? Have I just given up on everything? Do I just believe that I don't deserve anything good to happen in my life? You need to pray about that and get your excitement back, get your zeal back, get your eagerness back. You know, if you don't have that, something is wrong. Something somewhere is broken. Something somewhere is holding you. And you need to pray about that and ask God to free you so that you can enjoy your life. Number 12, we need to pray for more kindness. We need to give more kindness, and people need to show more kindness to us. You know, there's nothing better than somebody being polite, somebody saying thank you. You know, it's amazing to me. You know, even when I was going through these drive-thrus, you know, and people act like they hated their job and they just as rude, like you bothered them when they drove up. Wouldn't say thank you, just practically throw the bag in your car, you know, and you ask them something, they're rolling their eyes. We need more kindness, you guys. We got to pray about that because people don't seem to know how to treat people. Customer service is through the floor. It's terrible. But like I said before, you can be the difference. That's why I try to do what I do when I interact with people, even on the job. My patients, you know, they always want to talk to me simply because I can give kindness. It don't cost me nothing to be kind to you. It is such a benefit for me to show you love and show you kindness and show you compassion. Those are fruits of the Spirit. Those are things that God created. So he's always going to give you more back than what you give out. So let's pray for more kindness, that we show more kindness and that people show more kindness to us. 13, let's pray for more endurance and commitment, you guys. You know, some of us is good at starting stuff and committing ourselves and telling people we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and then we just fizzle out and leave that person hanging. Let's stop doing that in 2024. If your heart is not in it, say no from the jump. Or if your heart is not in it, say, hey, I'll help you get started. I'll be here 2 weeks just to kind of get you kicked off. And then I'm going to try to also try to find somebody to do this with you, but I'm not that person. But I'll help you for a couple of weeks, you know, just to get you on your feet. We have got to stop leaving people hanging, you guys, because life is hard. And when people are treated like that, they become cynical. They become to a point where they have trust issues, and you've created that simply because you just one more person that let them down. You just one more person that said they were going to be there and let that person down. I don't want that on me. I don't want to be that other person that makes somebody worse than where they are. That is so important to me, that anybody that encounters me, I want to leave them better off than they were when I first found them. If I can't add to your life, I'm going to leave you alone. I'm not even going to be around you because I don't want to be that person that put that, as they say, that final nail in the coffin where that person is negative for the rest of their life because of something stupid I did, or because I lied or fell through on my commitment. So you guys, let's pray for more endurance, to see things through the end, to understand that, you know, it may not be rosy all the time, but hang in there because it's worth it. You know, and I said, God, you know, that word is for me, because when I do get married, I got to endure through the good and the bad, because I want to be committed and see that thing to the end. Number 14, Another thing we need to pray for more of is control over our emotions, you guys. You know, they like to holler about everybody's bipolar. Everybody's not bipolar. Some people just don't have any control over their emotions because they're allowed to act like that. Nobody ever checks them on their behavior. So it's not that they have a mental illness. They use their emotions to get over on people. They use their emotions to manipulate people. We need to get more control over our emotions. If you're that person that's always wanting somebody to feel sorry for you, and you're always guilting people into do stuff for you, you know, because they don't want to hurt your feelings, you know, when you're manipulating people, you need to pray about that, because that's not right. We all need to get more control over our emotions so we can make better decisions. And that leads me to my next number 15 is let's pray for better outcomes this year. You know, some of us, we tried some stuff last year and it didn't work. You know, maybe it's time to just regroup and try it again. And this time put some prayer on it and just ask God to show you how to do it differently so that you can succeed this time. Number 16 is let's pray to think more with our heads instead of our feelings this year. You know, a lot of times you make yourself vulnerable when somebody knows that you get emotional, you get attached quickly. That's why sometimes people of the opposite sex can string you along and play with you and play with your heart, simply because they know that you are governed by your heart. And the Bible talks about, you know, not trusting your heart. You got to trust His head. You got to trust His Holy Spirit in you and make good decisions. And so let's start being part of the plan, you guys, and not part of the problem. You know, if somebody's always coming to you with problems, you know, it's okay to have some compassion, but let's not get caught up in that, because people need to learn how to make the plan to get out of the situation that they're in. So make sure that you're part of the plan. You know, I'll come along with you if you got a plan. You know, you coming to me telling me the same stuff every time I see you. Okay, what's your plan? Start pressing people and say, okay, what do you plan to do about it? We're talking about the same stuff. What are you going to do about it? And then be part of the plan if you agree with it. Okay? And then instead of making New Year's resolutions, let's make promises to ourselves to do things differently and think before we do and move smarter this year. And the next thing it's time to believe more. Number 1, it's time to believe that good days are ahead of us and that everything that happened in our past, bad or good, you guys, it happened for a reason. And just know that even when things aren't perfect in your life, you know, just keep trusting God. God is going to work it out for your good somehow. Sometimes it's years down the line that God works something out for your good. You know, I had an experience this week. A real sweet lady that I've known for a while is going through some stuff at home. And God just put it on my heart one day. She wasn't even there for that, but I just started telling her what I went through because I saw myself in her. I remember being her in the position that she was in. And God just turned on a light bulb and I started saying things. I don't even remember what I said, but I talked to her the other day and I asked her, I said, how are things going? She says, well, they're about the same, but somewhat better. She said, but I remember everything that you told me and I thank you. Because now she's making some moves. She's working on doing some things differently. You know, simply because somebody talked to her from a level of, I know what it's like to be where you're at. You know, it's always hard to listen to somebody that feels like they're judging you and like, how did you let yourself get in this situation? Well, if I were you, I would do that. No, sometimes God has to let you go through something bad because somebody needs you to be that person that they can identify with and say, you know what? I was just like you, but this is what I did. I'm not telling you what to do, but let me share my story of how I got out of this. And you never know what little bit of what you say could be somebody's strength as they're going through working their process to get out of their bad situation. So that really blessed me this week when she told me, I thank you and I remember what you told me. And even though I don't remember it, I know it must have been profound because that's been like a year ago. And for her to say that to me, it meant something to her. And I just ask God to continue to let me be honest with people and not ashamed of what I've gone through in my past. And it's time to believe for number 2, more discernment. When people show you who they are, when God is giving you discernment, y'all stop trying to override it and act like you don't see what you see. That person's a liar and a fake. You see that. Quit trying to act like you don't see, that you're unseeing what God keeps showing you. Believe what God shows you. Believe the discernment. Trust yourself. When something don't feel right, stop overriding that. Go with that. It's time to believe in ourselves and believe in discernment. And trust it. Even if we don't like it, we need to trust it and move forward. Number 3, we need to believe for more ways to improve ourselves and more ways to grow. You got to believe that you need to change. See, I know I need to change. I always know that my growth is going to be lifelong. I don't ever want to stop growing. I don't ever want to stop changing. I want to be a better version of myself every year. So you got to have that belief in you that you ain't got it all together. You got to have that belief in you that there's still some things that need to change. There's some things you can do better, that I can be better than what I am. So it's time for us to believe more about our change and about ways to improve ourselves and grow. Number 4, it's time to believe more about our future and trust that you can be happy and successful, but you got to believe that. That way you'll keep taking the steps to make it happen. But if you don't believe you deserve something, if you don't believe that success is for you, there's not a whole lot you're going to do. You're going to do a bunch of talking, but you're not going to put any action to your words. And it's time to believe for more of the fact that you have power that you haven't even tapped into, that your words have power, that your actions tell people how to treat you, that your actions show people what you really think about yourself. Your words tell people what you think about yourself. So we got to believe that and understand that we're putting out a product. I'm going to put it to you like that. We're the product, and we're advertising all the time, y'all. We're showing people what we're made of. We're showing people what we'll tolerate. We're showing people, where our weak spots are, where we'll compromise this, that, and the other. You are a walking billboard of you. So you have to start believing in yourself and understand you have the power to change your life. Your situation can be better, but you have the power to make your situation better. But you got to believe it. You got to believe, number 6, that you're important and that you matter and that you make a difference and that you're as good as everybody else. So it's time to believe more of that you understand that nobody's better than you just because they got more money, just because they got a higher position than you, they got letters behind their names. They're human just like you. God is no respecter of person. Number 7, it's time to believe more when it comes to us singles. We got to believe that God has created somebody specifically for us that will know how to love us the right way. God wants us in a healthy love relationship. God wants us to be in a good family relationship without all the drama. And God wants us to be in healthy friendships. And when you start believing that, you won't tolerate that other stuff. When people start getting out of line with you be like, hold up. God don't want this for me. No, this ain't for me. If you can't do no better than that, I'm going to need you to move on. That's when you can let people go. When you realize that unhealthy stuff, God don't want that for you. Honey, you have to learn how to rebuke stuff and say, you know what, I'm not receiving that. No, don't come over here with that mess. Don't bring this over to my house. Don't call me with that. You have to draw the line in the sand in 2024. Hey, Miss Christelle, you decide what you tolerate. You decide what you allow in your life. So you've got to be the one that believes that God created you to have a good life, a healthy love relationship, a healthy family relationship, and healthy friendships. And don't tolerate anything less than that. And number 8, you have to believe in 2024 that you're whole, even though you're not where you need to be. You know, people are always saying, you know, I'm not what I used to be, blah, 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 blah. I'm not where I want to be. You know what? None of us are where we want to be. But you remember the story of how Jesus healed the lepers. You know, when he touched them, they weren't healed instantly. Y'all got to understand, healing doesn't always come instantly. So why are you sitting around licking your wounds all the time saying, well, I'm broken, I'm hurt, you know, God is still working on me. Yes, God is still working on you, but what are you doing while he's working? Just like those lepers that Jesus touched, they started getting healed as they went, not when they were just sitting there in position waiting to be touched. You know, you've got to walk like you're healed. You've got to keep it moving like you're healed. Even when you're not completely healed, keep walking. The healing is happening as you keep moving forward. So let's not use the pain from our past, the things that broke us, as an excuse to not keep moving forward and not keep walking. Because that's where you're going to get your healing. Is when you keep moving, when you keep doing things that nobody said you can do, when people are talking about you and you keep going on anyway. That's how you get your healing. Because one thing about it, God is a God of movement. And he doesn't want you stagnant. Even when you're hurting, he wants you to get up and move around and do something. Because guess what? You always feel better when you stop wallowing, when you get out of the bed and stop doing all that crying. You feel better when you get busy, when you get productive. That's that healing. God created us to heal as we go. And my final thought, you guys, as we navigate through 2024, let's remember to, number 1, reflect on the past for learning. Not to sit back and talk about who did what to us. Reflect on your past as a learning, as a lesson, and take what you need to take from that lesson. You know, they used to say, you know, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. That's that lesson. Don't keep letting people do the same stuff to you over and over again. You ain't got your lesson. Quit making the same decision over and over again and expecting different results. Quit dealing with the same kind of men over and over again and expecting something to be different. Quit chasing the same kind of women over and over again and expecting them to treat you right and not use you and abuse you. We've got to use what went wrong in the past as a lesson and try to draw out, okay, God, what were you trying to show me? Because that was bad. You know, that really hurt. God doesn't allow those things to happen for nothing. You're supposed to get the lesson out of it so that you don't keep repeating the same cycle. And then, number 2, use what you learned to create a better future. Everything that you went through, you need to be stepping on it. Stepping on it to take you higher and higher. I don't care how bad it hurt. Step on it. Do whatever you got to do. You know, there's nothing better than letting people see you succeed that thought they broke you, that thought they stopped something from happening in your life. God has a way of, he said, preparing a table in the presence of your enemies. God likes to show you off in front of your enemies, because what they meant for good, God will turn it around to bless you. But you have to learn to use what broke you to build your future. Number 3, we need to acknowledge God for bringing us through. You know, we didn't make it through 2023 by ourselves. God was with us, you guys, because like I said in the beginning, some people didn't make it into the new year. You know, God was with us. We need to acknowledge that, and we need to be grateful for that. Number 4, and be grateful for now and also what God has in store for us in the future. Because moving forward requires us wanting more, praying more, believing more, and expecting more out of our lives. and we are privileged to be allowed to come into this new year. So we need to want more in 24 and recognize that we deserve it, but we got to work for it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and welcome to 2024. And I just want to encourage you to see your life different this year. You know, I didn't really get a chance to do a whole lot of reflecting on New Year's Eve, but when I had some time to myself a couple of days later, I got to sit down and just really think about what I wanted to see this year. You know, and everybody can't go with me this year. You know, things are going to have to change, but I just want to see myself doing things that I've never done before. I want to see myself actually truly enjoying my life. I want to see myself moving and progressing to the point when I look back on January 1st, 2024, I said, man, I've come a long way. I want to be able to say that, you know, on New Year's Eve this year. I want to be able to reflect back and see all the amazing things I did in 2024, doing things that I was scared to do, doing things that, you know, I had talked myself out of, opportunities I've talked myself out of in the past. You know, you need to paint the picture of what you want to see in 2024, and you've got to do the work to make it happen, because it's all up to you. It's all up to you. And you guys, please pray for one of our members, you know, Miss Margaret Henderson. She is always so encouraging and posting, and she lifts my spirit. Her, Karen Davis, Sandra Crow, you know, it's just so many people, Miss Juanita, so many people that post on the page. And even when I'm having a down day, I can get on that page and it never fails. There's always something that hits my spirit from what somebody else has posted. And it just changes my whole attitude. It changes my whole demeanor, because I'm like, you know what? They got me. You know, God must have told them to post this, because this was just for me. That's what Sister I Got You is about. You never know. And Miss Henderson, she is one of the most amazing, positive ladies, you know, on the group. And she just really inspires me. And she's lost her mother. So you guys that have been through that, show her support on the page. Inbox her and just let her know that your arms are around her, because it's never easy to lose your mother, no matter how old you are. And thank you guys so much, and welcome to 2024. I love you guys, and Sister, I got you. Talk to you later. See you next week. Bye.